You know, recently I found myself pretty bored with gaming, but overall, I'm actually pretty intrigued to see what we have coming up in the future. I feel that specifically like the last 2, even 3 years have been a bit lackluster in gaming. But today we are going to be looking at 3 games that are coming out in September. We will also be looking at games that will keep you, well, satiated until that time comes. So the first one isn't really more of a game as it's more as an add-on to one of the glitchiest but actually fun games recently. Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk. Now it is true that while Cyberpunk did start out as a really buggy game, I actually did a playthrough of it about a year ago and found myself to actually enjoy it, enough to the point where I actually played through the entire game. The thing that actually brought me back to Cyberpunk was the anime, and if you haven't seen it, watch it, it's on Netflix. However, apparently Cyberpunk was getting its DLC of Phantom Liberty. Now, I actually don't really know anything about Phantom Liberty because I don't want to ruin it for myself. However, I think it's a very interesting and good momentous occasion to maybe get yourself back into it. It's supposed to take place outside of Night City in more than nomad areas, with a different type of police force and different gangs. A bunch of new weapons, and even including V's own version of cyber psychosis, like the one from the anime or the cyber psychos of the game. Now the next title is a very good retro feeling, being that of Payday 3. Payday 3 is a game that I never thought I would hear. I remember putting a lot of time into Payday 2, and well, simply just hearing the idea of a third one is crazy. This game seems to be bringing a lot to the table, especially with hostages, the HUD, and even probably weapons. They even made it the slow bulldozer can now sprint into a full charge, which is terrifying. This game makes me very excited because a lot of the moments where I spent with buddies late nights was a lot on this game, going on crime sprees and trying to see how much we can go. I remember arguing with friends that I need to get that last bag, that one bag. Meanwhile, there's a whole army on top of it. I hope we get to see more from Payday 3 before it comes out anyways. If you're looking for a fun FPS to probably play with buddies, well, I think this is gonna be the one to go. Now, the final one is probably the biggest one out of all these, and that being Starfield by Bethesda. Now, Starfield, I basically watched the E3 trailer when it was showcased, but the thing is, I've tried to refrain from seeing any or more media from it. I like to keep stuff fresh and surprised, and well, this is one of those games that I'm very hyped for. What I'm hearing about it from just old Twitter threads or Reddit is people are excited about it, which is interesting because if I recall, people weren't very happy about it with the gameplay. In general, I think it's great that Bethesda is right now going for another space game. It's supposed to be a good mixture of Fallout 4 and Skyrim, which both I actually like. Fallout New Vegas is the best, but both are good. Now here are the games to play for when we wait for these big titles. If you're looking for an FPS that mixes in horror or brutal, quick-paced action, well, Wolfenstein's gonna be the way to go. I plan on doing a full video on this game of analyzing it more in depth, but this game has great story, emotion, and you play as a guy named William J. Blazkowicz. The game is brutal, but not just brutal, it's hilarious too. There was one moment where I was trying to stealth and, well, look at this.
Who the fuck are you?
Now, the next title I want to look at was, well, Aliens Dark Descent, which we played for the intro. This game, I'm gonna be really blunt, it does not have a lot of replayability, but this game is tough, and it has one of the most satisfying feelings of if you can get your squad another mission or do you have to pull them back and waste a day. It's fun seeing how long you can strain your squad out there and seeing how much they can complete on their own, with ammo, tools, sentry guns, and all that. This game will probably fail you in your first playthrough, but once you learn the ideas and the aspects in setting a suppressive fire or perimeter, it gets so satisfying. Turns from a, oh god, they're coming to a bring it on situation. These are all the games that I suggest trying to spend your time with before these new games come out. But honestly, it kind of seems like an exciting year for September. Now, unfortunately, these are all the games that I could see being the biggest ones out of the whole year, but that means it's gonna be a big month. really big month. I will still be pursuing my Siege content, but there's definitely some games I want to look at that really speak a lot. Especially that Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein, and its sequel, The New Colossus, has a lot of emotion behind it. Which game are you most excited about, and why?